Your site management team is Hamish Brown, Project Manager, and Eddie Heenan, Site Manager. If you have any questions, please contact them via phone or email or in the site office. Parking is available in the school car parks or surrounding streets. Please be cautious of children and pedestrians when entering or exiting the school grounds. Please sign in and out each time you enter or exit the site. It's important that we know who's on site at any given time. In the event of an emergency, you will hear 3 short blasts from an air horn. You must stop what you are doing and make your way to the assembly area. The assembly point is by the playground, in the centre of the pods. There are multiple safety stations on site, where you will find a first aid kit, fire extinguisher and fire horn. You are required to wear a hard hat, steel cap boots and a high-vis vest whilst on site. Please check the hazard board daily for hazards on site. This is a smoke-free site, no smoking on the school grounds. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask the team on site.
Hi, I'm Dave Bulling and I'm the Managing Director of Cook Brothers Construction. Our vision is a team with the desire to take on the world, transform the construction industry and cement us as a national leader. Our culture at Cook Brothers is one of a close-knit team of guys and girls, and we value above and below the line philosophy of ownership, accountability and responsibility, and we leave at the door blame, excuses and denial. We don't have problems, we have opportunities, and we don't have issues, we have challenges. While you're at Cook Brothers, we want you to be safe, we want you to go home and see your loved ones and do the things that you enjoy during the weekends and after hours. So these are the things that you need to become familiar with, because this is what we live and breathe. So I want you to have fun, I want you to stay safe, and I really want you to enjoy the projects that we build.
Health and safety is about everyone. Cook Brothers Construction encourage team members and trade partners to participate in managing health and safety in the workplace. So in each region, you are supported by a team of health and safety representatives and committees. Their contact information is available in the emergency flip charts. Some Cook Brothers Construction sites will have an AED defibrillator on site. When one is not located on site, we recommend you download the AED app, which can locate the closest AED location to your work site.
Minimum PPE on site includes hard hats, high-vis shirts and steel cap boots. Singlets are not acceptable PPE on Cook Brothers sites. Additional PPE is task-specific and can include hearing protection, respiratory mask, safety glasses, full face shield, gloves and harness use. Full face shields must be worn at all times when grinding.
Cook Brothers are not responsible for the supply of your PPE. Trade partners need to bring their own to site.
All visitors to site must be inducted and wear the provided pink visitors PPE located in the site office. Workers are responsible for wearing PPE appropriately, taking care of the equipment and reporting any defects to your site manager.
All trade partners are required to submit a site-specific safety plan, also known as a SSSP, to Cook Brothers before starting on site. Cook Brothers emphasise that all SSSPs are live documents and must reflect the tasks you are responsible for during the project. Permits are required for hot works. Please see the Cook Brothers site manager for approval prior to starting. Notifiable works, as identified by WorkSafe, must be completed at least 24 hours prior to the works commencing and evidence held in the SSSP. All team members coming onto the site must have a site-safe passport or equivalent. Anyone without a site-safe passport must have it completed within 4 weeks of being on site.
Communication and planning is vital for a safe and healthy site. Each worker is required to sign in and out of site each day. The purpose of this tool is not a timekeeping record, but to ensure that all persons are accounted for in the event of an emergency. Any person not accounted for in an emergency will be treated as missing and may put emergency workers at risk by looking for someone who isn't there.
Effective planning for critical tasks is essential. This should include a SWIMS TA practiced response plan and competency of the team who will be involved. Ensure the planning is conducted with the team members who will be working on or within the vicinity of the task. Weekly toolbox talks are held on site.
Everyone is required to attend.
In the event of an emergency, all Cook Brothers sites will sound an air horn with 3 sharp blasts to raise the alarm for evacuation. Your site manager will outline any other emergency alarms specific to your site. Your site manager will outline the exit routes, the assembly point, first aid stations, fire extinguisher locations, air horn locations and closest medical centre. An emergency site map will be displayed on site. Exit routes are required to be kept clear at all times. In the event of an emergency, the site warden can be identified by a red armband. They are responsible for taking the daily sign into the assembly point. No workers are to re-enter the site until the all clear is given by the site warden. In the event of an emergency, check for your own safety first, dial 111, provide assistance if you can, otherwise evacuate the site. Emergency flip cards are located in the site office or the health and safety notice board with this emergency information when needed. No foul language or inappropriate behaviour will be tolerated on any Cook Brothers sites. Cook Brothers promote a drug and alcohol-free site and have a policy in place. Random drug and alcohol screening does occur on Cook Brothers sites. If just cause indicates that you may be under the influence of drugs or alcohol, we will ask you to undertake a drug and alcohol test, or we may remove you from site until you can prove otherwise. In the event of a lost time injury, a drug and alcohol swab will be taken for testing. The use of audio devices with earpieces are not permitted on Cook Brothers sites. These devices are distractions and create hazards by causing a lack of attention to your surroundings. Radios may be used with the approval of the site manager, but volume must be kept to an acceptable level. If you are in breach of any health and safety practices on site, a yellow card, red card disciplinary process will be implemented. This can include removal from site. A clean and tidy site is a safe site. Good housekeeping is required at all times on site, including lunchrooms and wash facilities. All CBC sites are smoke-free. Your site manager will indicate a designated smoking area. Animals are not allowed on site. All waste and disposal must be covered at all times and disposed of in the correct skips.
Our sustainability commitments for waste and material diversion include no timber offcuts greater than 600 to be thrown into the skip. All team members are responsible for reducing waste on site with the use of reusable items instead of disposable. This includes keep cups instead of disposable cups, reusable water bottles instead of plastic bottles, and containers instead of food wrappings.
Potable water and sunscreen is available on all sites. Manual handling injuries are a huge contributor to lost time at work. These include back injuries, muscle strain and sprains, and hand and foot injuries. Any materials weighing more than 20 kilos must not be lifted by one worker. No worker should attempt to lift any object that they are not comfortable with. When mechanical lifting devices are available on site, these should be used for manual handling tasks. Team lifting must always be conducted for heavy loads that cannot be lifted with mechanical devices. You must manage the risks caused by hazardous substances in the workplace. Any hazardous substances brought to site must be stored and disposed of correctly. All hazardous substances must be recorded in your SSSP and have a supporting safety data sheet. They need to be available in hard copy in the site office SDS folder and accessible in the event of an emergency. Under no circumstances shall liquid wastes, such as paints or solvents, be allowed to soak into the ground or be poured down drains. This is hazardous waste and should be disposed of correctly. Spill kits are available on site in the event of a spillage. Any task undertaken that will create dust must be controlled. Exposure from general construction dust through to silica and asbestos is destructive to your health. Each time you expose yourself to dust, it builds up in your body. Not only does dust affect your health, but those in the surrounding areas if you don't have controls in place. Dust management includes, but is not limited to, tool extraction, local exhaust ventilation, water suppression, wet cutting, isolation tents, asbestos reports, and fitted respiratory mask use. Always be aware of moving vehicles and plant. If you cannot see the operator, they cannot see you. Parking is only allowed in designated areas. Reverse park where possible. Always adhere to the speed limits of the site. Any traffic management plans in place must be adhered to. Pedestrians and vehicles must be kept apart, including on-site and where vehicles enter and exit. Plant and equipment is to be used by trained and competent workers only. Before operating any plant or equipment, ensure that it is fit for purpose. Lifting plans must be developed for craneage. All slings and chains must be rated and certified. Isolation zones must be indicated for excavation and craneage. Equipment is subject to an inspection process that can identify any defects. All angle grinders used on site are required to have a dead man or paddle switch. Powder actuated tools must have signage and be isolated from other workers when in use. All powder actuated tool cartridges must be stored securely and the tool's certification to be current. Underground services must be identified before any excavation works commence. Any excavations greater than 1.5 metres must be battered, shored, benched or supported. Excavations and trenches greater than 1 metre must be isolated to prevent falls. Access to excavations and trenches greater than 1 metre must be in place.
Falls from heights can result in permanent disability or death. Daily pre-start checks must be completed before any use of height equipment. All scaffolds must be set up correctly. This means toe kicks, braces, handrails, and all wheels locked off. Fixed scaffold is not to be altered at any time unless you are trained and competent in scaffold erection, alteration, and dismantling. Any mobile scaffold to be erected greater than 5 metres to the handrail must be completed by a certified scaffolder only. Use of elevated work platforms requires an EWP certification. A harness and short restraint harness lanyard should be used as indicated. Daily pre-starts must be completed before use. Rescue procedures are to be documented and where possible tested. Ladders should only be used as a last resort for height access. Consideration for safer alternatives is required first. Safe ladder use includes 3 points of contact at all times and secured at the top and bottom.
A-frame ladders are not permitted on Cook Brothers sites, although they may be permitted on the rare occasion for access only.
Any work at heights must have isolated drop zones to prevent injury to anyone below. All electrical leads and tools are to be checked for any damage. Any damaged electrical leads and tools are to be removed from site, tagged not safe to use and repaired. Lifeguards and RCDs are to be used for all electrical leads and tools. Multi-plugs must be industrial rated. All equipment must be tagged and checked every 3 months. All electrical leads are to be clear of water, walkways and traffic access areas unless protected. Any work involving isolation of electricity must be handed over by the electrician and visually inspected. A lockout tag must be applied. Only certified electricians are to cut cables on a Cook Brothers construction site.
Any notifiable event requires that you give notification to WorkSafe. In these cases, the accident scene is to be isolated and not disturbed until it is released from WorkSafe. Workers are required to report all hazards, near misses and incidents, irrespective of how trivial they may seem at the time. All incident reports must be made to the site manager immediately. Accident reporting is necessary to ensure that a proper investigation is undertaken so lessons can be learned to prevent reoccurrence. If an injured worker requires medical treatment, then they are to be escorted by a senior team member as a duty of care.
But you can say it now.
At Cook Brothers Construction, we are committed to protecting
the health and safety
of all people working at or visiting the site.
Every person on the Cook Brothers site
should feel empowered
to stop work when it's unsafe.
If you're unsure about the task,
you are completing,
or the task changes.
Step back and take 5.
To review the process
and what safety controls are in place.
Courageous conversation
undertaken by people
willing to stand up and protect their team.
Join us on our quest
to make courageous conversations
commonplace on work sites.
It only takes
one team member
who has the courage
to stop unsafe work,
and that team member could assure
everyone on site
go home to your family safe that night.